there was something else that you wanted to talk about, Scott, and that is
Yes,
a freedom of speech issue that's going on in California. Please brief us all on it. Give me a full report.
I will. California Bill SB 771 would hold social media platforms liable under certain circumstances, especially when their algorithms or content amplification systems exacerbate content that violates personal rights laws. Intimidation, hate, and discrimination, that kind of thing is what's being championed for this. But basically, if somebody gets in trouble for doing something that breaks a law, if the social media platform is seen to have amplified something that would cause that to happen, they could potentially be held liable. This is obviously in conflict with Section 230, which says that social media platforms are not held responsible if crimes are committed by people that post on them, right? The people that post are responsible for what they do, not the social media platform. But I did look into it, and people are saying this is a stunt. They know that there's no way that this is going to have any real effect because of Section 230, and it's just another thing that Gavin Newsom can use to further his career. But it's more lawmakers trying to limit freedom of speech is the way that I see it. It's trying to force a media platform to do what they say and not to do what the media platform wants to do. A media platform has the right to silence speech or amplify speech. They are a media platform. They can do whatever they want. Now, we've talked a lot about freedom of speech, and I think that the real gross thing is the instinct of being against freedom of speech is gross and bad. But I think that's what this is. This is an instinct of freedom of speech being gross and bad, being perpetrated by a California government. What do you think?
Oh, I agree, and I also believe that as the left was so continuously reminding all of us 20 minutes ago, that freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences.
Yeah.
So if you want to get on social media and celebrate Charlie Kirk getting assassinated, or Donald Trump being almost assassinated, or um, a young couple walking out of the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., getting assassinated, or you want to celebrate Governor Josh Shapiro's home getting set on fire because he's a Zionist.
Getting Molotov cocktailed because you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Lots of things you can celebrate that are gross. But yeah, you do. So this is a little bit tricky, I think, because yes, you are not immune from the consequences. I also hate the instinct of I want my political enemies to be fired from their jobs. I don't
I,
think I like that instinct either. There's a point where it gets to like super grossness to where when I go to the DMV, do I want the person behind there to just hate all Jewish people? No, I don't. But it gets into a weird territory of what should you be fired for? You know, just because we live in this new world of your employer can know your personal beliefs because of social media. How much should they factor that in? It's a really weird world, and we're figuring it out as we go.
we are figuring it out as we go, and I think that's a really smart observation. And yeah, I'm not really cool with mobs of people trying to get somebody fired for something that's gross, inartfully stated, um,
Or even
celebratory.
if you're a young person, because we thank God I've said this many times, and I'm sure you've said it too. Thank God there weren't cameras around everywhere when I was 20 years old, because I said the dumbest shit imaginable. I feel real bad for young people because it's there, and because it's there, it kind of forces them to double down on what they said because of their own ego. Right? It's recorded, so people are going to give them shit, and they might be tempted to double down on their stupid shit rather than grow out of it just because of the way the human mind and the ego works. We're blessed with not having that recorded so we can just kind of like blow it off. Like, yeah, I was stupid and I grew out of it. But it might not be so easy for the young people now. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I've got a lot of. I'm very empathetic with what young people are going through with this whole thing. I'm less empathetic with young people who are celebrating violence, and I
True.
and I think that I just think it's a very sad commentary on our society that it's become so acceptable to say, "Oh, I'm glad that so and so got shot. I'm glad that so and so died from COVID. I'm glad that I wish the bullet had hit Donald Trump in the head." Those kinds of things. Yeah, of course you have a right to say it. It's an extremely disturbing commentary on so much of the worldview that so many people have. It's just very depressing. It's just awful.
I've heard people much smarter than me say that young people don't see this as real in the way that we did growing up because they see so much of it. There's so much violence. They go on Twitter and see. We saw a lot of violence in movies, but that wasn't real. They can go on. The worst that we had was like the Faces of Death video that everybody talked about. That
Yeah.
was the worst that we had. Now you go on Twitter and it's real death, real death, real death, real death. If you want to see that, you see enough of it, you get desensitized, and you don't start.
Well,
They
there's the
when
re-
you're
yeah, there's the real death, and then there's the videos that are created by bad actors like the Cuds Network, which is a pro Hamas. They are Hamas. They do AI enhanced videos. They do a lot of. They put up a lot of fake videos that show genocide, and starvation, et cetera, and it's tearing a lot of minds up. So
the, the, there's so much there. Israel, the PR thing. I don't even know where to begin. Maybe that's something we could deep dive at some point because it's fucking interesting as shit, but it's depressing as shit. But I don't know, man. SB 771. I don't like anything that tries to silence free speech, especially not when it's a government thing. Let let people talk. Yes, there's going to be consequences, but the only thing that's going to help us move forward as a society, is if we are more forgiving to young people, try to talk to them and try to change their minds for the better. But there's a line that can be crossed as well to where, oh, you're just a fucking gross person, and the only way that you can grow is being told that you're a piece of shit and have everybody around you tell you you're a piece of shit so you can go through the humiliation and you can get into this cocoon, and then you can turn into the butterfly of fucking changing your mind or whatever.
a lot of people are changed by being shamed.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
A lot of people have been changed by being shamed and being ashamed. A lot of people. My father. My father was so ashamed of being poor that he made sure that he was not going to be poor as an adult. That's so different than the approach that's taken today, which is you're you're pitied for being poor, and you blame outside forces for your for your for your stage in life, as opposed to being shamed into doing something about the situation that you're in. My father, they never would have used the phrase marginalized about my father, but he grew up in a dirt floor shack, as I've described, in and was ashamed of everything around him, not having any shoes, having dirty clothes, being dirty all the time, um, and everybody that was at a stage in life above him were telling him as he was growing up, when he was a boy, you're not going to be anything except a dirt poor hillbilly. You're not going to be anything except a dumb hillbilly. You're never going to get an education. You're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to own a real pair of shoes. You're never going to drive a car. You're always going to be poor, and you're always going to be surrounded by poor people, and you're never going to get out of this holler. That made him do what was necessary to get out of the holler. I'm not saying it's a good thing to bully people that are going through things in life. I'm not implying that or saying that at all. I'm saying that a little bit of shame oftentimes yields positive results.
And a lot of people now are using that for clout. They're using being poor for clout. It can give them points, right? It can give them status. Your father would have never even dreamed of using that, probably, if it were a possibility, but it wouldn't have really been a possibility.
None of
You
the
know?
immigrant families that I know that I knew growing up, who came here with nothing, lived in a little apartment in New York and worked as a as a shoe repairman or a day laborer or clerking in a grocery store. None of those people would have taken a dime. They would have jumped out their 10th floor window before they would. They were too proud to take anything from anybody.
I think you nailed it right on the head right there. It's pride.